What's up, everybody? The Jacks of Jacked and Lean and Jacked and Lean Gym are back with another video on it's not your program, it's your form that's fucking up your results. Today we're going to talk about the mistakes we see people make while training their biceps, why it's limiting their growth, and how to fix it. Let's get after it. So the first mistake we see, this is a kind of a common mistake across all curling motions, is people flexing the wrists while they curl up, basically giving them a false sense of range of motion, because when you curl that wrist as you come up, you're not usually getting as much elbow flexion as you want, which is the function of those biceps. So what I want you to think about is just keeping that wrist nice and strong as you come up, focusing more so on that forearm coming up to meet the bicep. That way you're getting that pure elbow flexion, not just wrist flexion. The second mistake you're making is not getting your elbows off your body and in front of your body properly, especially you bigger individuals. What I mean by this is, Jack, and let's demonstrate it quick, is for those of you who are bigger people, your elbows tend to get stuck off your body, and that creates a misalignment of this elbow joint with the shoulder and with the wrist, which can create some pain on the inner elbow. It also limits your supination because you're ultimately stuck out here and your body gets in the way, or if you're someone who just limits an external rotation and then you therefore can't supinate, you're stuck in this position where you can't fully supinate and therefore not activate the biceps properly as you move through elbow flexion. So the solve for this is here. I like to coach people to, kind of bend over, flex the spine a little bit, get their arms off their body, find their rotation and supination in that position, and when they pull up into it, you're kind of hanging on your lats there a little bit. You're also going to immediately feel a little bit more tension in those biceps, almost like you have one of those bicep blaster implements on, because now the elbows are kind of hanging on the front of the body, which puts a little bit of load on them. From there, Jack has more access to supination now, and as he comes up, that's going to bring the biceps into the motion more and limit his elbow pain long term. Now, what about elbow drift? Is it okay to let that elbow come forward a little bit as you finish a curl? I'm gonna argue that yes, it's okay to let your elbow drift a little bit as you curl, as long as you're getting a quality contraction, you're feeling your biceps work during the movement. It becomes an issue when you're curling, you're not getting elbow flexion, you're just kind of lifting your shoulder, particularly if you're using a lot of momentum. So Jack, let's show them like what a rep could look like with some elbow flexion or shoulder flexion. Now see, as you can see, Jack comes up, his elbow is drifting just a little bit. Personally, for me and for him, this just feels a little bit better. If you're someone who likes to keep your elbows a little more stationary, kind of in front of your body and just rock there, totally fine too. Just know that when it comes to movement, it's not always about some super rigid you can or shouldn't or must do. It kind of can be a bit of a what feels natural to you as well. And you'll see a lot of guys with really big arms that have curled like this for years. So you can just kind of listen to your body. What do you feel like is the most natural for you? And as long as you're connecting well, go ahead and do it. Another mistake we see with bicep training that's limiting your growth and potentially causing your elbow pain is not properly aligning the shoulder, elbow, and wrist, which is something that I really recommend for people who are more vulnerable to those pains or are moving heavy loads, doing lots of volume, or doing a program for a longer period of time. So Jack, let's demonstrate what we commonly see done. So as you can see now, Jack has some decent rotation capabilities for his size, but basically if his flare those elbows out a little bit more, we'll see a lot of people, especially bigger people, where there's a misalignment between that shoulder, elbow, and wrist, kind of like we talked about in one of the last points there. So if you're a bigger person, you're having the pain, or you just want to make sure you're driving more optimal bicep stimulus, because again, supination contributes to bicep activation, Jack is going to go ahead and go single arm here and turn his body away just a little bit. So now we have more of a straight line from the shoulder to the elbow to the wrist. And as he curls, you'll see things are moving a little more alignment. He was able to get a little more supination, which brings up another good point about just external rotation in general. Like if you can't rotate, again, get it off your body, or even just rotate your body around your shoulder versus just trying to rotate your shoulder, you'll still be able to create the amount of rotation you need, bring that bicep into the movement. The next mistake you're making with your curls that's limiting your bicep growth is staying in your shoulder on your curls. Jack, let's demonstrate what I mean. So what you'll see on something like a preacher curl is as someone comes down, their shoulder kind of like rolls over the pad, and as you can see, his shoulders are elevated here, and this will get a little bit of bicep, but over time, it's not taking as much load as it can take, and you might start getting a little bit of shoulder pain there. So to fix this, what I want you to do is take your offhand here, press into it so your chest and shoulder kind of clears away and drops down. Now his bicep is gonna take a lot more load off the bottom here. He just thinks about a little bit of palm pressure just to make that bicep grab, and now he rolls it through. So as he's coming down, he's keeping that shoulder dropped, and as he curls, he's gonna push the hand a little bit, pop the chest, and ride it up. To kind of tie into the last mistake, an issue we see with bicep training is that people, as they're starting the reps, they aren't properly pressuring through hand, grabbing that bicep and kind of rolling it through. So this is a cue I like to help people really emphasize that have a hard time growing their bicep, to make sure the bicep starts with tension right off the rip. So on something like this high curl here, as you can see, Jack already wanted to get into his shoulder. By bringing it, dropping his shoulder down, his bicep's gonna take a little more load. And by thinking about just kind of pressuring through the hand, you'll see his bicep grab tension right away, almost like if he just gives a little bit of pressure, you'll see it just kind of pop, and then you can just keep that tension and roll it through. So if you're someone who you feel like the first move you take isn't ever on bicep, A, make sure you're not in your shoulder. 2, make sure you give a little bit of pressure just through your palm, feel it grab and roll that tension through. Cool. Do I really need to say anything about this? If this is you, what the fuck are you doing? This clearly isn't training your biceps, and unfortunately, this is the most common type of curl we see, especially for people starting out, and also people that complain about not having big biceps. Guys, the biceps are not meant to move tons of load. Chill down there, hombre. When you do a curl, go ahead and lift up your arm quick. You can see that this distance from the weight to Jack's elbow is quite a long distance. That means the bicep doesn't have a ton of mechanical leverage to move the load. So if you're someone who's trying to curl 60-pound dumbbells and you have 16.5-inch arms, I guarantee you're doing something wrong. So that's a wrap on It's Not Your Program, It's Your Form That's Fucking Results Bicep Edition. Remember guys, it's not just because you have some shit genetics that your biceps suck. If you already have smaller biceps, make sure you're not making those previous mistakes so you can maximize your growth. Stay tuned for the next episode of It's Not Your Program, It's Your Form. It's fucking up your results.